What's up, podcast listeners and YouTube watchers? I'm Chase Lee, the co-host of the Real Me and Cole in the Movie podcast and a contributing reviewer on DallasMovieScreenings.com. And before I get into the review, I apologize. A couple people commented on my last review saying I need to invest in a pop filter. I didn't know it was that annoying. I apologize once again. I'm working on that, so just bear with me on this one. And this will be one of the last few ones I do not have a pop filter on. So there you go. Anyways, back to the review. The review I'm going to be doing tonight is going to be Mary Magdalene. Now, this one comes from, get this, because this shocked me, from IFC, Independent Film Channel, Universal, and Focus Features. It is being distributed by IFC, but Universal and Focus Features both have their hand in it. That is bonkers to me. I didn't even know that three major distribution companies were even doing this. Like, this is insane to me. So anyways, I believe it's an IFC mainly distributed film because that's the company that sent me the screener. So correct me in the comments down below. Anyways, this one is directed by Garth Davis, and this one tells the story of Mary Magdalene, who is one of the followers of Jesus Christ back in the day. She strikes, a very nice friendship with him, and some believe it was a relationship and everything. And that's kind of our story, is that we see Mary before she met Jesus, when she meets Jesus, and even till Jesus' last dying breath. We get to see kind of like their growth and the teachings of Jesus Christ himself. So going into this, I saw the trailer to it, and I actually liked the trailer. It looked really nice. Rooney Mara plays Mary Magdalene. You have Joaquin Phoenix as Jesus Christ. You have Chiwetel Ejiofor in this. This is a nice little cast, and it's from the director of Lion, which is a pretty good little film back in 2017. So I was actually kind of pumped for it. And before I get into this review and what my thoughts are on it, I have to put this as a disclaimer because I guess it doesn't register with some people. I don't know if it's the way I'm speaking or like how I'm conveying this, but usually when I do anything about a religious figure or religion or political stuff, I have to tell people, regardless of what I think or what I believe, I'm just reviewing it on the own movie's merits. And so people have to realize that. With that being said, I am not religious. I don't really know much about people's names, correct storylines. I'm just going off of what I saw in this 2-hour movie and what I can kind of assess from it in terms of the technical aspects and how the story was constructed and everything. And I'm going to try my best with names. If I forget something, it's not because I, hate religion or whatever. It's just, you do you. Like, I just want to give people that disclaimer because anytime I review anything about a political movie, that thing goes off the rails. All right, so, okay. So what I thought about this movie when I got done with it was I liked it. It's one of those kind of like sobering spiritual experiences that I kind of witnessed with this movie. There's nothing wrong with that. But I did think it was a very enlightening movie, even though the whole atmosphere of the movie was kind of a bit of a downer. So to get into it, Garth Davis did something that I really enjoyed from this film, because I don't typically like movies about religion, not because I'm not religious, but because they're awfully made movies. Anything from Pure Flix, goodbye. I'm sorry if you like those movies and you want to downvote this or unsubscribe from me. That's cool. I have yet to see a movie from them that is even worth it, because most of them are made on a technical level to the likes I've never seen before, and they're just not good, regardless of content. But you can do it in a way where it's thought-provoking, it's visually interesting, the acting is astonishing. That's what Garth Davis does with Mary Magdalene. This is a good representation of a movie about a religious figure, religion as a whole, whatever, done in a great light, where there was a lot of things kind of weaving in and out in terms of story, perspectives, thought processes, or processes, or how you pronounce that. that I found really intriguing. I sit there kind of questioning myself on what it means, to follow someone and all that stuff. I found it to be quite an enjoyable kind of film experience. Like I said, going back to the whole sobering and spiritual aspect about it, I think Garth Davis is purely responsible for that, because he does a lot of great things here, and I'm going to kind of just work my way down. The one thing I really liked about his choice of visual style, because this is a beautiful looking movie. There are several shots in this you could easily timestamp, print out, have someone paint it on a canvas, and it would look gorgeous. A lot of depth, a lot of texture, and certain colors that kind of poke out. It's really great, like landscaping shot, and just having people act along in these environments. It's breathtaking. So not only is the visual component beautiful, like I stated, it works really well in twofold. So the way Garth works it, the first hand, is that it has like this gray kind of palette on it, to where it doesn't look ugly. I think it's a representation of two things. One, you have him basically saying, this is not a black and white movie. This is a gray movie, which means this is more complex. It focuses on more complex characters and, the inner thoughts of characters and humanity and how we're complex as human beings and, emotionally complex. I found that, I don't know if that was the reasoning, but I think it was genius on that move. And two, this is a very bleak movie. It's a very sobering movie on reality and how humanity is evil sometimes and how there is a lot of bad in this world. And you can have someone that is good and can kind of, touch people in a way to make them feel positive and make them feel like they're not in this, rut of a society. And, it just kind of highlights the harsh humanity that we see nowadays with violence and, tyranny and corruption and stuff. So it is a very, like I said, sobering type of experience with that color palette, because there's a lot of disturbing imagery in this. It's not just all, rainbows and roses, of Jesus's teachings. There's a lot of just really kind of like in your face aspects about humanity, and it just makes you kind of realize that this is reality and we have to kind of deal with the situation. So I thought the visual component worked well in both of those situations. Story-wise, I thought it was interesting to take Mary Magdalene's perspective on it, because this is something we've really never seen before. The first time I have ever heard about Mary Magdalene, believe it or not, was when I saw the Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks, and she was mentioned. And I was like, who's that? And so when you look into it, you're like, oh, okay, so she was one of the people that witnessed the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and she was one of his followers. I gotcha. I had no idea who she was up until then. So I think it's interesting to take her perspective, because we haven't really seen that before, taking perspectives of different apostles or disciples and focus on them and why they follow Jesus and not so much Jesus himself, because we've seen a lot of movies with that. There was a really great one I watched a while back called Risen. It wasn't really focusing on Jesus, but focused on other people. And then when Jesus was kind of interwoven into the story, it made sense, and it was some really well-written scenes. So, with this one, we focus on Mary a lot. We have a couple scenes with Peter, a couple scenes with Judas, and what I really like about this kind of like perspective in this take on this story is that we don't just get to see Jesus stand up there and speak his word and have people follow him, and then we just move on to the next city. That is the story structure for sure. But what I like about it is that there's these quieter moments. There's these kind of almost like, I call them campfire moments, where like there's a campfire going and people have these like heart-to-heart conversations where you'll have, Mary or Peter or Judas talking to Jesus, talking about life, talking about, the inner demons of people, talking about, the fears that people have. This was a time where women were oppressed. They couldn't really do much. You had to marry, have kids, do all that. So that's the state that Mary was in when we found her. And, when she finally meets Jesus, she has all these fears of she's like, I had this demon inside of me, and I need to do what's right. And he's like, this isn't a demon, type of deal. And so there's a lot of complexity within these conversations where these characters are asking themselves questions. We are asking ourselves about questions about life and stuff. And so that's where the thought-provoking aspect comes in. And I thought that was a kind of a fresh take on all of this, because there are several scenes with Mary, Peter, Judas, and even Jesus, to a point where everyone was expressing why they follow Jesus, and what kind of pain and suffering they've gone through to get here, what kind of pain and suffering Jesus has gone through to get here. It was some kind of good character work, and I really enjoyed that. I really got into it, and what sold it for me was the acting. If this was any other actor and actress kind of combo working with Mary and Jesus, it probably would have worked. Joaquin Phoenix, he is a quiet person on screen. He is commanding on screen. He can explode at the drop of a hat. He can be sincere. He is one of the most well-rounded actors working today. He can literally do anything. Rooney Mara's the same way. She's a fantastic actress. When we first find her, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of loneliness. And then when she finally meets Jesus and she has all these kind of heart-to-heart conversations, she starts to grow into, her own and really become this kind of almost poet herself. And so, that has to all come in with the, body language and the facial acting and eye movements. And, Rooney Mara is a subtle actress when she can be. She can explode on screen when she can be. She's also commanding. So they're actually working well off each other. Rooney Mara worked with the director in the past with Lions, so she already has that rapport with him. But fantastic all around. Chiwetel Ejiofor has a couple scenes. They stand out. The gentleman, I forgot his name, I apologize, that plays Judas, wonderful. It's really great acting. It's really great cinematography. It's great music. It's a fresh take on this story. Some of the dialogue is even great. And, once again, you sit there, and even me that's not even religious, I sit there and go, wow, I'm going to ponder that question for a while. It's just, a couple things I kind of pointed out as not really flaws, but just kind of like missteps. I did say that the Mary take is interesting, but given the fact that they shoved scenes at us with Judas and Peter kind of breaking down as to why they follow Jesus, I kind of wish they would have taken more of the route of showing a little bit more with them and kind of had equal scenes with Mary, Peter, and Judas, and have this more of like an apostle type of viewpoint, because everyone's going to have their different perspective on Jesus Christ. Not everyone's going to have the same philosophy or the same viewpoint or even the same, story that they bring, to this situation. I just think if we would have delved a little bit more deeper into them and kind of balanced it all out with Mary and even the other, maybe some other kind of smaller characters, it would have been a very interesting character study. I think just purely focusing on Mary can get a little stale sometimes, and if we would have focused on a little bit more of everybody, probably would have made a stronger story, and I probably would have bumped my grade a little higher. And the second thing is, while I was not particularly bored with the 2-hour runtime, I can see this being boring to people. It is a very wash, rinse, and repeat type of story. I mean, we have the stuff with Mary at the beginning. She meets Jesus, and then from that point on, it is the same thing until the very end, where they go to a city, bless the crowd, talk to the crowd, go to the next city, perform a miracle, bless the crowd, talk to the crowd, go to the next city. So you see what I'm saying? It can get a little repetitive to where I don't know if you shave a few minutes, I don't know what, but the steam can lose itself a little bit, kind of going across that finish line. But other than that, great little movie. So I'm going to give Mary Magdalene a solid B, maybe even a B+, but I'm going to stick with a B for right now. I think that's the same grade I gave Lion. He's a great filmmaker. So what did you guys think of Mary Magdalene? What are some of your favorite religious movies? Please let me know down below. And I guess that'll do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I need to find a better intro or outro. See, messing up already. I will see you guys later.